Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome to Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Today we're looking at chapter 6 of book 6. Again, this is not the middle chapter, because the middle chapter will be next chapter. It is last previous chapter, we looked at prudence, phronesis. Today we're looking at nous, and nous would be the intellect, right? Intellect. It's the next one of this. He says we're going to be these truing about in other words the parts of the soul that deals with truing and falsing, right? This characteristic of truing and falsing, the use of reasoning, right? Reasoning is the application of reasoning is this knowing what is true and what is false, affirming and denying, right? This is this. Now he is saying something. We know what it was. He said that we go all the way back. Let's go look quick go back into 4:3. Right? He says, okay, that art, science, prudence, wisdom, and intellect. So he reversed art and science, and he's going to reverse intellect. Because the thing he's not talking about is nous, right? And then intellect, wisdom, right? He's going to inverse this. So he inverses the orders of those two, but keeps prudence in the middle. That's interesting in that sense. Um, uh, we are now at chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a very short chapter. It's about intellect, right? Intellect, nous, right? This is what is nous? Nous is this intellect, the intellectual. He's used the word intellect, this ability of intellect, in terms of the intellect is knowing the end. It's kind of knowing the arche, knowing the end of the thing, right? So let's go right into the text and see how he says. It's a very short text. It's very convenient, 2 paragraphs in the translation. It's frustrating in this because why? He goes now since science episteme is a conviction concerning universals and the things that exist of necessity, and the things that exist of necessity. And since there are principles of demonstrative things, and of every science, for science is accompanied by reason, then regarding the arche, principle of what is known scientifically, there would be neither a science nor an art nor prudence. So knowing regarding the principles about what is known scientifically, there is neither a science nor an art or a prudence. For what is known scientifically is demonstrable, and art and prudence happen to be concerned with things that admit of being otherwise. So in other words, scientific things deals with things that are or are not. In other words, the eternal things. The things of prudence and art, things with being otherwise, right? So therefore, there is a problem here, knowing what this. How do you discern the principles or the starting points of episteme, right? Nor indeed is there wisdom with regards to these arche. So Sophia is not about these arche either, for it belongs to a wise person to have belongs to the wise person to have demonstrations about some things. In other words, but not the arche. In other words, Sophia wisdom may deal with demonstrations, but not it. And the demonstrations do not lead to arche, right? The principles. So we have a problem. How do you get principles? How do you discern and know what's true and false about arche? And remember, this he mentions arche here in terms of principles of this. But remember, he talked about principles. Remember, the principle of prudence was the principle of action. And well, he mentions the prudence of. He mentioned that there also. So there is a weird thing that principle is also found in action, and knowing, discerning, and also making. There is principle revealed, but it's not a demonstration. The principle, the principe or arche that involved in phronesis was a discerning about the end, right? Knowing the end, knowing helping you discern what the proper end is, right? Um, and therefore, it is a discernment of it allows you to see and discern the proper end, and therefore to be able to achieve to true it, to know what is the correct end of the action. The question then also is there a role in techne also, that in the art of making, is that in the discernment of the, but there's no end in that. Remember, that's the difference. Prudence deals with, there is an end in prudence. Prudence deals with how to get to the end. It is concerned about what is it is concerned with the end, right? How to get the end, the desired thing you want, a desired action, and that you want to achieve, and doing it right. What is the correct act? What action is the correct action in that situation? And therefore, it's not. Therefore, there's discernment of that. In other words, it is not. In other words, prudence is not. Prudence is not the means you discern these arche, nor is it wisdom. Okay, so it's not. It's not science. It's not art, and it's not prudence. But nor is it wisdom. Something else. So, if the ways by which we attain the truth and are never mistaken about things that we do not or even do admit of being otherwise, it's interesting, are admit, in other words, are mistaken about of the things we do not or do admit of being otherwise, are science, prudence, wisdom, and intellect. It cannot be any one of these three. I mean, prudence, science, and wisdom. It remains that it is that intellect. What, in other words, prudence, science, and wisdom, by these three, prudence, science, and wisdom, it remains that it is intellect that pertains to the principles, the arche. So therefore, even if it does things that we never, in other words, it's not about making, it's about knowing in this sense, knowing what is true, thing about that which do not or even do admit of being otherwise, are science, prudence, wisdom, and intellect, right? Then he avoids art, doesn't mention art, techne here. It cannot be any of these three. I mean, prudence, science, wisdom. It must be only intellect, nous, that deals with principles. Now, this is very unsatisfying, really. It's a very simple, direct thing. It's dropped in here. Nous is here. That's what nous is. Nous deals with these beginning arche and arches, and doesn't really flush it out that much. And we end the chapter on this very quick note. It's a very short chapter. Now, why is it? Now, the question is this because this is just a kind of quick kind of thing, mechanism to help us understand the virtues of the mind in that sense? Clearly, the virtue that deals with virtues is going to be prudence. Prudence seems to be the virtue, a virtue of the mind that is going to manifest itself Now, the prudence itself is the larger sense of living one's life, as we said earlier, but it is also the virtue that seems to manifest itself with the other virtues of character. Because remember, the whole point about the virtues of character, the ethical virtues, are about living well, living well, and prudence is dealing with that, how to live well. So this is going to, therefore, the focus of much of what will happen, and also focus that we'll talk about the discussion in book 7 will very much focus on prudence and its role of this, and the problems of prudence in that sense, the problems of virtue and the weakness, the problem of that knowing what is right but then unable, but not doing it right. That would be book 7 in that sense. So this is why we end this chapter very short. It's very short. It's very disciplined. If you want a greater understanding of nous, we should perhaps turn to the metaphysics in that sense. In that sense, intellection. And maybe to the Oregon, which is about the prior analytics and the interpretation and these things. In many ways, episteme, the episteme of Aristotle's science is his Oregon, right? His Oregon, which is the prior analytics, posterior analytics, all of those works. Interpretation, I think there's 5 works in that thing. It always has been one of my pains in the ass. The Oregon, 6 works. The categories, the interpretations, prior analytics, posterior analytics, topics, and the sophistical refutations, right? The 6 works. That is the classic work of Aristotle's episteme. So if you want episteme, if you want to follow Aristotle's understanding of episteme more fully, you turn to his what is called the Aragon, the 6 works of that he fleshes out his science, his episteme. But here we're not really concerned with science in the sense. We're concerned with action, doing, right? The ethics is. So therefore, the prudence is going to be the big thing. But then he had to talk about nous. Why? Because nous, in this sense, is going to be the big thing. Intellection is going to play a role of principles, the arche. And there are arche regarding action, praxis. And therefore, nous is at play, it seems, in phronesis. Because it is that this all of a sudden that the principle is discerned that helps us to achieve phronesis, to know what is the right, that you can discern what is the correct and what is a true action. That prudence needs the nous to highlight the principle arche, an action. There is this interconnection here in this that is hinted at, but not fleshed out. But then we don't get a full treatment of nous. So this is very interesting, and this is what this has led someone like Bartlett. Bartlett notoriously in 1990s wrote a piece about in his and an APSR had a big debate with Mary Nichols. And in that article, he wrote about the best regime. He makes the argument that Aristotle's, prudence is not really Aristotle. Prudence is kind of a kind of something done for gentlemen. It's not the true. It is not wisdom. Sophia is the real reasoning, the correct, true, highest form of reasoning, and that prudence is this kind of construct noble line. I don't. He wants to say it is a subordinated and inferior thing, and we will see this argument kind of hinted when we do wisdom, right? But this is the problem here, because the focus of this is wisdom, not wisdom, but the focus of virtue is not wisdom; it is prudence. It's the doing of it. But wait a minute, is it wisdom also? Is knowing of it? It is the thinking about it. Is that a wisdom also? Knowing the virtues? The knowing of the virtues, that's a wisdom, but the doing the virtue of doing the virtues, that's the prudent, that requires prudence. Knowing them, knowing what they are. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit because the next chapter, in chapter 7, we'll get to wisdom, right? We'll get to Sophia. But here we do the purely nous, and nous is it's a very short chapter. So we'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, please put them below, and I will respond to them when I see it. Like the chapter, like it, hit the like button, share it far and wide, get it out and share it around. It will help the chapter. It will help grow the channel in that sense. It will help with the algorithm. If you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Do subscribe. It'll help the channel grow, get better on the algorithm. Encourage your friends and people you think would be interested in this. Bring it to their attention to encourage them to subscribe as well, to grow the channel in that sense. Again, helping it grow would be useful for people to know it more. Another thing is, if you didn't like it, you can only say thumbs down, but please say why in the comments so we can the viewers, if not me, then the viewers can learn from it. Because the purpose of this is beneficial, trying to benefit others studying these things or trying to study these things. Now, if you want to follow me on social media, my social media links are below. If you want to know more about me as a researcher, scholar, and teacher, and see my research and scholarship, you can look at the academic social media links below the social media links. If you want to help and assist what I do to do what I do financially, you can do so through Patreon and Subscribestar. The links are listed below. And then what else you can do is, the way you want to help financially is to buy one of my books. The books are listed below. You can do so at your local bookstore, order it through your local bookstore, or you can order it through an online books distributor, bookseller like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or a similar place. Well, that's it. That's it for the day. We'll turn next time we come. This is a short video, so it's over. Look at chapter 7. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.